And welcome everybody to this week's very exciting episode. This is where Josh normally butts in with an intro, like a tongue twister or something, mate.
All right. How much red can a redneck neck if a redneck could neck red?
I think rednecks can neck a whole lot of red.
Yeehaw.
Okay, for everyone at home, Josh is not with us this week. He's away on holiday in Wales, but he has got in contact with his cousin from America who's flown all the way over here from the States to be here on the show today. Would you like to introduce yourself, my friend?
My name is Tucker Harwood, and that is spelled with 2 Ks. It was 3, but I had to legally change it. And I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and I grew up on a ranch with lots of horses and moonshine, and it was good times. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to seeing what y'all bring to the table.
I'm looking forward to see what you bring to the table, because we are vastly over in America this week, to what we're discussing anyway. Have you encountered a skinwalker in your travels?
I did once think I saw a skinwalker, but it turns out it was just a rabid pony from a distance. And then there was another time I thought I saw a skinwalker, but it turned out to just be a greasy cat wearing a sweater.
A cat wearing a sweater?
Yep.
They do things very strange over in the States, don't they?
They do, especially where I'm from, in Kentucky.
Kentucky, right, okay. Right, so, yeah, we're covering skinwalkers today. Skinwalkers are... Well, you see videos of skinwalkers a lot on like TikTok and Instagram and stuff, like people posting weird videos of their cat walking on its hind legs or something, and they're like, "Is this a skinwalker? Is this a skinwalker?" They're not skinwalkers. Let's actually iron it out and delve into it and see what an actual skinwalker is. You up for that?
Yeehaw, cowboy! I am ready for anything. Skinwalkers, walkers of the skin, I'm ready for it.
Right. You should be fairly well versed with this region. Have you ever travelled to the Navajo Nation areas?
What did you call me?
I didn't call you anything. I said, have you ever travelled to the Navajo Nation?
Oh, I thought you called me a hoe.
No, certainly not. Well, I don't know. I don't know what you get up to. But yeah, the Navajo Nation is where the folklore of skinwalkers comes from. They call them Anagloshi. Yeah? Now, if you were to go back many, many years, even hundreds of years, the Anagloshi and skinwalkers were brought around because medicine men would have to travel to the 4 sacred mountains that border the Navajo Nation land. There are 2 in Colorado, 1 in Arizona, and 1 in New Mexico, and they have to go there at certain points, certain times of the year, to perform a ritual. And they'd only got like a time frame of a couple of days to actually go there and perform this ritual to give them like healing powers and, you know, to help people. That's what they wanted to do.
So they were doing it for good.
For good, yeah.
Not for evil.
No, not to start with. So, like, the spirits thought that they'd help because obviously you got to travel across the land quite quickly, and obviously in ancient times the Navajo, all they'd have at best is a horse, and quite often healers would be on land or just walking. So the spirits taught the medicine men how to shapeshift into animals so that they could traverse the land much more quickly, so that they're able to perform these healing rituals, like you said. Very good people. Now,
I'd like to challenge them to a race.
Yeah?
I think me on my steed would be faster than a man trying to turn into a horse.
Maybe. Okay. So anyway, yeah. To learn to shapeshift was very, very difficult. It would take years of learning all these songs and ceremonies that they had to perform for it to work. And also, the animals that they change into have to be like local varieties from like local land, from their natural environment. That's where they draw their power from to be able to change. So, like a Navajo Native American wouldn't be able to change into an Indian elephant, or at least not until he'd spend many, many years in India learning how to do that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So generally, they'd pick like coyotes, wolves, deer, that sort of thing. You could, in theory, use bear and mountain lions, but they're sacred, generally not used. We'll get more into that a bit later. But yeah, because this ability, this shape-shifting ability for the healers, was such a long, drawn-out process. It took years to learn how to change into various different animals. You know, if you wanted to fly, you wanted to turn into a hawk, that would take you more years when you could already transform into like a pony or something. So the more animals that you wanted to change into, the longer it takes. Yeah. So a lot of people, or, you know, some of the lazy shamans, I guess, they wanted to find an easier way, and you know, so they were they'd pray for I guess some kind of sentience to happen, so just make it easier for them. But it was the dark forces that heard these prayers.
Oh, voodoo.
Yeah. Not the spirits of the elders that trained the original shapeshifters. It was the dark forces, and they offered a quicker and easier solution. But there's a catch. There's always a catch, right?
There's always a catch. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you ain't gonna fool me again.
It's a very popular saying. Yeah, even over here. So the dark forces, they came up with this this ritual that you have to do if you want to shapeshift, but not in the traditional sense, and it involved sacrificing.
We're getting into Satanist territory.
Sort of, yeah. It's the dark forces. So you have to sacrifice an immediate loved one. It could be your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your son, your daughter, even your great-grandparents or whatever, but it has to be someone very close to you, someone who you love with all your heart. You have to sacrifice that person out in the desert to the evil spirits.
I mean, that's not a lot to ask, is it?
That's just step one. I don't know what absolutely all the steps are in detail, because these things are kept very close to the natives' hearts. You know, it's their traditions. They don't necessarily tell everybody, you know, intricate details. But they'd then have to catch the animal that they want to turn into, skin it, mark it up with like glyphs and runes, like paint like these symbols on them for the dark forces to be able to take the animal and convert it. And eventually, once they've done their rituals and songs and whatnot, then they would be able to wear the skin and shapeshift into said animal.
I have a question, Pyre.
Yeah.
What if you are a 300-pound Navajo and you want to turn into a hawk? How are you going to wear the skin of a hawk?
Well, this is a very good question, and my source from this says it's technically possible, but it takes a tremendous amount of energy for a grown man to turn into a small creature, which is why they generally stick to coyotes, wolves, and deers. Yeah?
That makes sense.
Yeah? Because, yeah, like you say, fully grown man shifting down into a chihuahua, it's going to take a lot of energy and it'd be ridiculous. Yeah? And I don't think be very useful either. So like I say, coyotes, wolves. How do you say coyotes in American? Do you say coyotes or coyotes?
Coyotes.
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 Coyotes. Right. Wolves? Wolves, just wolves.
Wolves.
Okay, and where you're from, do you say mountain lion or cougar?
I mean, it really depends. In Alabama, where I grew up, we sometimes say mountain lions, or you say, that's one hell of a big cat coming over the horizon. I better run.
Right.
Sometimes.
You don't use the word cougar very often, then.
I mean, are we talking about my wife or?
Well, I was just going to say, that over here, cougar's got a bit of a different meaning. But I know that it originally is the same as mountain lion, isn't it? But anyway, these animals are sacred. They're not used as they cannot be converted to the darkness. They are sacred animals. They're good creatures, and you can't. It'd be sacrilege to do that.
What, the mountain lions?
Yeah, mountain lions, sacred creatures to Navajo.
That's interesting.
Not so much to yourself, I guess.
No, we used to chase them off the fields because they used to try to eat our chickens.
Yeah?
Yeah, they used to go in, a bit like foxes over here, I suppose. The mountain lions are
little more dangerous than a fox, though.
Yeah, they used to come in and kill all our chickens. We used to scare them away. We used to try and skin them alive and use it for warm blankets, but we could never catch up to them suckers.
No. Well, I guess, yeah, they can move pretty quick across Utah or wherever it is you're from. So what do skinwalkers do, I hear you ask?
I believe they make loud sounds in the middle of the night and scare people.
That's pretty much a good summary of it, yeah.
I always thought they were little bald men.
Skinwalkers?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I suppose if the Native American's gone bald, then he would be a little bald man, wouldn't he?
All these TikTok-y videos that I've been seeing, it's always white bald men in the middle of the forest.
Yeah, but they're not really skinwalkers.
You mean that's a hoax?
Yeah, it's either a hoax or a rake or just, someone pretending.
Oh, don't mention the rake. You scare me so much my mustache will fall off.
Oh, fair enough. Right. Okay. So you are correct though, because they copy voices. They quite often will like for yourself perhaps they would copy your wife's voice, make you think that she's outside asking for help. You go out to help her. Skinwalker's got you. That's one of the things that they do. The Navajo will all tell you if you've ever lived in like the Navajo Nation, if they're in their community, they will all tell you that they've experienced footsteps on the roof of their house, scratching and rattling sounds coming from outside the door, growls, and one of the tricks that the skinwalkers will do that they fashion bone whistles. What they do is they're grave robbers. They'll dig up graves and they'll use the bones and the rotten flesh to make poisons and weapons against you, like bone knives and these bone whistles. And what this whistle is for is to, because everybody, I'm sure out in the States, everybody's sort of spread out a little bit more than they are here in England. You could be half a mile away from your neighbour. So a lot of people own dogs to help them work the land, help them with security. Well, these bone whistles that the skinwalkers create are specifically designed so it'll quieten your dog. It's if your dog starts barking in the middle of the night and you're wondering why it started, and then suddenly everything goes quiet. Probably a skinwalker.
So the skinwalkers are using dog whistles to keep the dogs quiet.
Yeah, basically. So you don't know that they're there.
I don't know if that will work on my Rusty.
What is Rusty?
He's also a Chihuahua that you mentioned earlier. I picked him up from New Mexico.
So why wouldn't the whistle work on him? Is he deaf?
He is, yes.
Okay.
Only in one ear, though.
Oh,
so
right.
Depending on which way he is on the porch, it may or may not affect him.
It'd be fine if they're downwind.
That is correct, Byron.
Right. Okay. So, when they use these whistles and they're trying to get you to come out of your house, they will quite often blow a powder in your face. Yeah, your mustache still on. Don't worry. It's a bone powder that they've made out of the bones and the flesh, the rotting flesh, and they'll blow it in your face. And apparently, unless you within a couple of days get aid from a certain ritual, like the proper ritual by the Navajo. I don't know exactly what that is, but they say that you are assured to die.
It's kind of like that other plant that we get in this country. I've been told. Is it the white devil?
Oh, devil's trumpet.
That's the one.
Yeah. They use that out in Mexico as well, don't they? Where they blow it in your face, and then you are entirely susceptible to absolutely anything that they want you to do.
Yeah, it's not good.
No. And people have been known to empty their entire house and just help them carry out all their furniture and load it into the back of a van because they're under the influence of that stuff. Yeah. So this is a very similar procedure. And one of the final things that the Skinwalker can do is it can lay a curse on your land.
The whole land?
Your entire ranch. That ranch that you've got up in Montana.
Yep.
They curse that. That's it. You're not going to grow any crops. You're going to have a very unpleasant time.
I wouldn't be much of a farmer without my crops.
No, you wouldn't. But this is what's happened, and particularly one place in particular that's very famous and well known for skinwalkers is Skinwalker Ranch in Utah.
I've heard about this.
Yeah, indeed. You can't go looking into the Skinwalkers without coming across Skinwalker Ranch. It's impossible these days. It's all over the internet. You try and research Skinwalkers for all of this classic stuff, this Navajo stuff that I've battled to try and find, because Skinwalker Ranch just comes up at the top of any list, any search engine. But that Skinwalker Ranch takes its name from a curse put on a land by a skinwalker.
I'm connecting dots now, and it makes sense why Josh invited me here, because I also have a ranch.
Yeah, in Utah.
That's the only thing I can think of is the reason I'm here, because I don't know much about skinwalkers, but I do know about Skinwalker Ranch.
You know about ranches in general?
I do, and I also love the flavor and the seasoning of ranch.
Of ranch?
It's delicious.
Ranch is a seasoning?
Yeah, ranch.
I know, like Jolly Ranchers are like little sweets, but I don't know if you get them.
That's another kind of ranch. Ranch dressing.
Ranch dressing.
It's made with like onion powder and sour cream and garlic, a few things like that. It's delicious.
Okay, fair enough. I don't think I've ever tried it.
You'd like it.
I'm sure I would, yeah. But anyway, let's Skinwalker Ranch. So Skinwalker Ranch in 1994 was bought by Terry and Gwen Sherman. And not long after they bought the place, they were disturbed one night by a giant wolf. I'm sure you know this story. Everybody knows the story of Skinwalker Ranch. But they were disturbed by a giant wolf, disturbing all their livestock, coming through the land. And Terry Sherman got his shotgun, went outside, fired off several rounds at it, didn't faze the wolf. The wolf just turned around, looked at him, and then sauntered off into the forest.
Was it because he didn't have silver bullets? Was it a werewolf?
Well, this is the thing. By all accounts, it was a skinwalker, and that was the skinwalker that put the curse on the ranch. And ever since that fateful night, the family have been tormented by poltergeist activity, strange lights in the sky, not just UFOs, but also other light-up phenomenon in the sky, animal mutilations, crop circles, the list goes on. And they stuck it for a few years, 2 years to be exact, and they sold up. And they sold to a billionaire called Robert Bigelow.
A billionaire?
A billionaire, Robert Bigelow, yeah.
What a name.
And this is where people start, yeah, I know. This is where people start asking whether the skinwalker phenomenon was genuine, because Robert Bigelow was always very interested in paranormal and, stuff like that, supernatural things. And they wondered if it was just a load of hype to get him interested in buying the ranch. But the Shermans didn't sell the ranch at a profit. They basically made nothing on it. He bought the ranch for £200,000, and this is dollars. Sorry, this is only 2 years after they bought it originally. So they weren't making a profit.
They just wanted to hightail it out of there.
They did, and Robert Bigelow sent in a team to research it, but after lots and lots of failed attempts at trying to nail down some concrete evidence that there's weird stuff going on the ranch, they couldn't find any conclusive evidence, and 4 years later they left.
I believe I went to school with someone called Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's any relation. And I believe his father was Bob Bigelow. So that would make sense if that was actually Robert Bigelow. And we called him Bob for short.
Could be, yeah. Bob Bigelow. Right. So then the ranch sat empty for quite a number of years. It was quarantined. There's signs up out the front of the ranch at the entrance saying no entry, keep out, danger, and all this sort of thing.
Didn't they put barbed wire around the fence?
Yes, yeah. I think there was a fence put around the entire perimeter. And it was basically locked off from the public. Public couldn't go there. And then in 2016, it was bought by Brandon Fugal via Adamantium Real Estate.
Adamantium?
Adamantium, yeah. They're made out of Wolverine's bones. They covered Wolverine's bones.
That was the connection I was trying to make.
Yeah,
I thought that was make-believe.
I don't know if the steel itself is real, if the adamantium metal, but the Adamantium Real Estate is a real company, and they buy properties.
That is cool.
Yeah. So Brandon Fugal, who I believe owns Adamantium Real Estate, he bought the ranch 2016, still owns it to this day, from what I believe. And he sent in another team, and I think it was this team, I believe, that you can watch TV programs on it if you connect to the right stations or whatnot. I haven't watched every single TV program. In fact, I pretty much watched a summary of it for this presentation. But everything that they've tried has been thwarted, if you like. They brought in lots of tech, lots of computers and microphones and cameras that can see different visual ranges, like infrared and X-rays and all this sort of thing. And every time they get close to making a discovery with this stuff, the tech just breaks down. It stops working.
Almost like its own Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, kind of like that. But they found elevated radiation there. They have many, many sightings of UFOs. And it all seemed like the ranch itself, obviously, is, I think it's 500 acres.
Woo-wee!
Yeah.
That's a lot of acres.
A lot of acres. 500-acre ranch. There is a certain amount of weird stuff happens all over it, but they found that the main focus was an area that they call the Triangle, which is where just 3 tracks sort of converge on each other, but one leads into another and another and another, and there's just sort of this small triangle in the middle between these 3 tracks. And this seems to be just a very strange place, because there's an area of sky approximately 500 meters above the triangle that has very strange characteristics. Could be a vortex, if you like.
I love that word.
Yeah. And the way they kind of discovered it was being out at night looking for UFOs and stuff like that. They were shining torches up into the sky, and they realised that at this one point above the triangle, like I say, about half a kilometre above the triangle, the torchlight was being bent as it passed through just mid-air.
There's nothing there?
Nothing there, no. And obviously light doesn't bend around corners unless it's around a black hole, as we all know.
Yes, I heard your black hole episode.
You did? Did you enjoy it?
I did. I like your white holes theory.
Yeah?
Yes. I'm waiting for the next series on green holes. I believe that is a thing.
It will be. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I've got Josh is going to be covering that one now, so don't worry.
He'll probably mess that up.
Well, have faith. He's your cousin.
Yeah. 2 very different cloths.
Yeah. Are you from the mother's side or the father's side?
Actually,
You'd obviously be from the father's side, I suppose. Wouldn't you?
Grandpappy's side.
Grandpappy's side.
Yeah, we called him Grandpappy.
I thought so. Yeah. You
Yeah.
don't really look that much like Josh.
I mean, there's some similarities. The weirdest thing is, for some reason, I seem to grow blonde facial hair, and he's brunette. And when we done Ancestry.com, we found that my great grandpappy was 1/16 Swedish. So we think that could be the connection there. But apart from that, we don't look anything alike.
Oh, no, not at all.
And I know some people are probably thinking, well, what about the tattoos? These are birthmarks. And Josh was such a good cousin, he just decided to tattoo the same birthmarks as me, so I wouldn't be the only black sheep of the family.
Oh, well, Josh is very kind like that, isn't he?
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, he's my best mate.
Yeah, he's okay. Better you than me.
Why?
Because I moved to America. I stayed in America, and he moved to England to carry on.
Okay. So the triangle. So once they noticed that it was bending torchlight, they use like a high power laser pointer to see if they could pinpoint where this weirdness was happening, and as they pointed the laser light into the sky, it actually split the laser in two.
Completely down the middle.
Yeah. So it was pointing at two completely different areas.
The same one light.
The same one light.
Divided into two.
Into two, yeah.
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
No. Not without there being some kind of prism there, but there wasn't any prism. There's nothing there. That's the thing. It's just an empty sky. Which is weird, which made it really weird when it deflected a rocket launch. Multiple times. It launched multiple rockets from the triangle straight up, and literally the rocket would get to like 500 meters and then just careen off at a weird angle. Several times they tried it, and it's almost as though it's hitting something and then veering off, but there's nothing there for it to hit.
And this is well documented.
Very well documented. They tried 3D modelling the area. So they tried geomapping it. So the way they do that is by flying over it, and they take like hundreds and thousands of pictures of the ground, and then with 3D modelling technology, they can map that ground to like a surface in the computer. But while all the area around the triangle was absolutely fine, the geomapping worked fine, they were getting a 3D model, actually above the triangle itself, the data was putting the packets of information in the middle of the air. So it looked like there was a spire of just sparse bits of land going up, sort of, nearly an entire kilometre into the sky, just floating around in the sky, just bits of land. That's what it looked like in the 3D modelling.
That is bizarre.
It is.
They did the same technique with the Amazon jungle, I believe.
Yeah, well, yeah, sort of, yeah, but that was LiDAR.
Oh, yes.
I suppose this is a similar technique, but it's mapping the elevation and all of that sort of stuff. But that's primarily what they were trying to do, is to see what was there. But it was almost like the 3D modelling equipment was glitching out at that one particular point, and it was like, instead of dropping the bits of land like Tetris onto the ground, they were getting stuck halfway down and just floating in the middle of the air. It was very, very strange to look at.
Do they still not know to this day?
No. They tried GPS mapping, because GPS mapping would indicate the coordinates of any given body flying through that airspace. So they got a very professional woman pilot, a lady pilot, and they want her to fly in like a grid pattern, backwards and forwards, both ways, left, right, creating this grid pattern so they could get the GPS coordinates. And when they looked at the GPS coordinates, it told her, as she was flying through that area of sky above the triangle, her GPS coordinates were somewhere in the middle of a mountain over to her right, half a mile away.
This is very well protected.
Yeah. So they tried again, another technique. What they did was they loaded a helicopter up with these two probes that, again, had GPS tracking equipment on them, on the same helicopter, flew it up to about 1 kilometre up, and then dropped the 2 probes out of the helicopter straight down to the middle of the triangle, or at least that's where they were aiming for. 2 probes got halfway down and deflected off and just fell either side of the triangle. What's interesting is that, obviously, but when they actually connected the GPS probes back up to the computer to see where the flight data, the 2 probes were on the same helicopter, so they should have had exactly the same flight path, yes?
Yep.
Didn't happen. One of them was offset and the two flight paths, they looked similar but completely offset from each other, and more than just the width of a helicopter.
This is giving me the heebie-jeebies.
Exactly. So, I mean, what is the triangle? This is the question that I'm sort of building up to. Is it a source of ancient Navajo power? Is it an interdimensional vortex? Is it a wormhole? A lot of times when they've been studying this area of sky above the triangle, they've been like out there doing experiments or whatever. UFO shows up almost every time.
I'm going to say all of the above.
All of the above.
And if we were playing Jeopardy, the answer would be, what can the Navajo do? I believe. Because Jeopardy, you do the question, not the answer.
Oh, right, okay. I've never watched Jeopardy.
Oh,
I don't think we get that over here.
No. That's not good.
No good. Right, but yeah, I mean, that is my big question, is whatever is going on in Skinwalker Ranch is obviously centered around this triangle, because that seems to be where all the energy is coming from. But what it actually is, I don't know.
I mean, you've distracted me away from the actual Skinwalkers themselves. I completely forgot we were talking about Skinwalkers. I'm more interested in this triangle of invisibility and pure power.
Is the triangle where the old Skinwalkers would take their power from to be able to change into Skinwalkers? Is that why the ranch has got this curse? Because there was a very active Skinwalker, a very powerful one, drawing power from the triangle. Like I said at the start, they have to draw their power from the local land. And I think Utah is in the Navajo region. Could it be that this triangle, that this ranch has this power vortex that the Navajo healers and the Skinwalker, the evil witch type Skinwalkers, can draw their power from and then make their changes a lot easier?
It has to be something spiritual. For something like that to happen, it has to be some force that we can't see. And
is it the angel's doorway to heaven?
It could be. It could be a number of things. I'm very bamboozled, and I never use that word lightly, Pirate. I'm very bamboozled. I think that maybe it's baby Jesus, and he's sending a sign. Or it could be the Navajo spirits calling through baby Jesus. Or maybe, maybe it is the Navajo spirits, and they have stayed because the forces within. I mean, also, I can just enlighten you just for a second here. I was always told and brought up and taught in where I was raised in Iowa, Maryland, Iowa, and Louisiana, Kentucky, and I was always told that Native Americans also believed that there was a spirit for each living thing. So there would be a tree spirit, there would be a grass spirit, there would be a water spirit. So they were always dabbling in those kind of different spirits and bringing in different forces. And they really did have some power to them. They used to do rain dances. That's where the phrase, I'm going to do a rain dance, that's where that phrase came from.
Yeah.
So who are we to say that these Navajo didn't actually have these spirits raging through them?
Exactly. They believed it, and when you see the evidence that's presented, I mean, there's good evidence.
I mean, Skinwalkers not so much, but the actual Navajo ranch having forces.
They have apparently, the investigation team have had members of the team that have claimed to see Skinwalkers on site. One man claimed to see a large creature. That's what he called it. A large creature in a tree, watching them as they were working. It was night time. Couldn't really see it very well, but he said it stood out because it got glaring, unblinking eyes that glowed yellow. How true this is, I don't know. But there have been apparent sightings of Skinwalkers at Skinwalker Ranch.
And you said cattle mutilation as well?
Surgical precision.
I mean, that's creepy in itself.
Yeah. You're not going to do that with a bone knife, are you? Well, you
Certainly
might do.
not.
Maybe. So at the end of our episodes, normally, when Josh is here, we usually put this to a paranormality rating, which is how paranormal is it, or how much do we like it, or just a rating of 1 to 10. No one ever gets 10. So since I did the presentation, how paranormal and weird do you think Skinwalkers and Skinwalker Ranch is?
I like it. I like it a lot. Do I have to give 2 different ratings? One for how much I like it and how much I believe it? Because they would be very different.
Would they?
I believe the spirit triangle, if you will. I believe that is very strong, and I want to give that. I honestly want to give that a 7.5.
Yeah?
I mean, when it comes to how much I like it, I'm scared, so I don't like it much at all. So I would give it a 3. But then
Let's go with the believability then, eh?
The actual Skinwalkers themselves, I don't believe in Skinwalkers.
You don't?
No. I mean, like I said, there's been a couple times where I think I saw Skinwalkers, and they weren't. They were just animals, different rabid animals.
Yeah, rabid animals, yeah. They can be quite dangerous as well, can't they?
I mean, I'm just going to sum it up in a nutshell, and I'm just going to give it a good 7.9.
7.9. Well, that's pretty good for Skinwalker Ranch.
I like it.
I've got to say that before I started doing my research, I didn't really believe too much in Skinwalker Ranch. I've seen lots of programs on it and heard lots of tales and stuff. But until I actually started doing my research and came across that area called the Triangle, everything else was just a little bit. But once I started looking into that part of things, I think there's definitely evidence for some very, very strange goings on, and I'm going to give it 8.4.
That brings our average to 8.125, I believe. I think.
Might do. yeah, 8.15, yeah.
I'm better at
Not
maths.
125, but 8.15, yeah.
I'm better at maths when I've had some moonshine.
Moonshine. Oh, well,
Yeah.
let's sack the episode off and go and get some moonshine then, eh?
Sounds good to me, partner.
You been making some?
I've already got some in the back of my truck.
You did? Okay. Let's go and have a few jars of that then, eh?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for having me today. It's been delightful.
It's been a pleasure having you.
And it's different for me. And I got another 12-hour flight back to Kansas ahead of me, where I grew up. And I just want to say thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I hope my cousin Josh is having a good holiday.
I'm sure he is.
And it was very nice of you to fly me out here.
It was. Yeah, well, I'd do it again as well.
Yeah.
You seem like a nice guy.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever come back here.
Oh. Why? Why do I?
It's not you. It's more.
It is me. You've been looking at me weird all the after. What is it about me that you've been looking at me weird?
I mean, they call you pirate, but you don't look much like a pirate.
I don't look much like a. How much more like a pirate? Right, I tell you what. We're fixing this. Do I look like a pirate now?
Now that makes sense.
So let's get rid of those. There we go.
Yeah,
Pirate.
it makes much more sense.
Tricorn hat. And now I look as much like a pirate as you look like a cowboy.
I'm offended. And I'm shocked at that statement, sir. I'm clearly a cowboy and not Josh. And now you have the gall to tell me that you're more of a pirate than I am a cowboy. I grew up in Mississippi, and we don't take kindly to words like that. That's fighting talk.
Oh, okay. Fair
But
enough.
I don't want to ruin the podcast with a fight. So I'm going to say thanks for having me, y'all.
And I'm going to say, yeah, I've been pirate.
I'm Tucker with 2 Ks.
No D's.
No, it's Harwood.
Harwood.
One
not
D.
hardwood.
No. There's only one D in Harwood.
Right, okay.
It's not Harwood. It's Harwood.
Okay, and this has been Paranormality UK/USA. Until next time, ta-ta.
Yeehaw!